Hey everyone, Percy Jules here. So today I'd like to talk about a product that has been on the market for a little while now. I came across it very recently and I just wanted to talk about it because in some ways it is pretty interesting. It's a product by a company named Krotos and the name of the product is Simple Concept.
Supercy.
Okay, now let me start by saying that this is not a sponsored video. I'm not getting paid by Krotos, unfortunately, but I genuinely came across this product, thought it was interesting. By the way, I came across it because I do own a piece of hardware from Focusrite, and because I do, Focusrite is giving me on a monthly basis or so, they're giving away some plugins and sample packs and things like that. Now, one of the things they gave away recently was Simple Concept by Krotos. So there you go. By the way, I'm not getting paid by Focusrite either, but that is just the story behind it. Anyway, I will leave a link in the description. Should you be interested, I would recommend downloading the demo. It is free and you can use it for up to 10 days or so. Now, once you've downloaded it, this is what it looks like. But what is it? Well, this is a synthesizer. But hold on, I hear you say. How can it be? This thing only has 7 knobs. I mean, a synthesizer needs at least an oscillator, maybe several. It needs filters, effects, EQ, compression, reverb, delay, flanger, LFOs, modulation settings, etc., etc. How can you control all of that with only 7 knobs? Now for that, let's go back one step. So towards the beginning of 2020, so in March or something like that, Krotos released a software synthesizer named Concept. So Concept is a full-featured software synthesizer. It does have an oscillator. Actually, it has 2, if I'm not mistaken. It does have filters. It does have effects. It has everything that I just named and more. And it also has dedicated knobs for controlling all those parameters individually. So it's a full-featured synthesizer. That is Concept. Now, Simple Concept, as I understand it, is a simplified version of Concept. And when I say simplified, the basic idea behind it, probably the original idea behind it is based on some kind of commercial strategy, probably. I mean, they already had Concept. They made a simplified version of that. It is less expensive. Sounds like a pretty good idea commercially, right? And that's probably what it is. Nevertheless, it doesn't make Simple Concept any less interesting. Now, I'm not sure if we can call it a trend already, but what we're seeing all the time in technology, and not just music technology, but technology in general, is that machines and apps and plugins, etc., they're getting smarter and smarter all the time. And this Simple Concept is what I would call a smart synthesizer. Now, I wouldn't say Einstein smart, but I think it definitely falls into the category of a smart synthesizer. And that's why you only need 7 knobs. Okay, now how does it work? Well, first of all, these 4 knobs down here, these control the ADSR settings, which obviously is extremely common. I wouldn't even say that they're part of the smart element of this plugin because they're just straightforward ADSR knobs. By the way, if you don't know what ADSR is, I just uploaded a video where I explain exactly what it is and how it works. So should you be interested, I will link it up in the cards and I will leave a link in the description. But anyway, that only leaves us with 3 smart knobs. Let me call it that. Now, these knobs are called macro knobs. That's what they call them. Now, to create or to shape a sound, we first need to select a preset, like this. Okay? Now, with any preset as a starting point, we can use the macro knobs to then shape the sound even further. So that's how it works. Now, what a macro knob controls, that differs from preset to preset. So for example, if we look at this preset, we can see 3 macro knobs called octave, drive, and high cut, respectively. If we change to another preset, we can see it changes. Now we have 3 macro knobs called movement, filter, and space. Now, this is something we cannot change. It's predetermined by the good people at Krotos, and you could say that's also part of the smart element of this synthesizer. Now, another smart element of this synthesizer is that any of the macro knobs controls several parameters. So, for example, this knob right here, called space, this might control something like some reverb settings and maybe some delay settings and maybe some other things as well. It's not clear exactly what it does, but it is pretty clear that when you turn one of those knobs, it will affect several parameters in the background. Now, of course, we can also use the ADSR knobs to influence the sound. And finally, down here, we have something called Tweak It. Now, what is Tweak It? Now, if we press Tweak It, it will randomize some parameters in the background. It will stay within the context of the preset we've selected, but it still will change the sound somewhat. And that is actually all the tools you have to create a sound with simple concepts. And of course, if we're happy with what we're hearing, we can save it as our own preset. All right, now let's quickly do a little demoing. So this is the default preset. Okay, now let's mess with some of these knobs. Okay, let's also mess with that space knob we talked about earlier. Yeah, it's definitely doing to some reverb settings and some other stuff, but I don't know exactly what. Anyway, let's move on. All right, now let's try the Tweak It. This is what the preset sounds like. Let's press Tweak It. Let's try it again. Okay, it as you can hear, it stays within the context of the preset, but it does change a little bit. Okay, let's move on. Now again, let's try Tweak It. All right, let's move on. So let's tweak this. Yeah, that's quite a dramatic change. Okay. That is quite a dramatic change. Let's try one more. Let's tweak this. All right, well, that should give you a little bit of an idea of what this thing is capable of. Okay, so in conclusion, what do I think of Simple Concept? Now, first of all, the basic idea behind it, or at least how they market it. So a synthesizer you can use to create new sounds with, without necessarily needing a lot of knowledge about synthesizing. So it needs to be simple, it needs to be quick. I think they've kind of achieved that. So it's definitely very simple. You can throw it on any track, just select a preset, turn a few knobs, and you've created a new sound, or at least a newish sound. Okay, so that's great. It's also very quick, so that's definitely a plus. Also, it comes with a few very interesting sounds, very usable sounds. Maybe not for every genre, but it definitely has some interesting presets. Now, some things that I don't really like about this plugin is that, yes, it does come with some interesting presets, but not a lot. So in terms of how many presets you get, it is pretty limited. Also, it being a smart synthesizer, as I call it, that comes at a price. So yes, it is very simple to use, it is very quick, but you don't have a lot of control over the sound. So you don't have the option to dive in deeper into the plugin, so to speak, and make some changes on a detailed level manually. Yeah, so it's pretty limited that way. Also, you need to go off of the presets they're offering, which aren't that many to begin with. But also, yes, you can make some tweaks, but you can never really get too far away from the original preset. You know, so again, it's also pretty limited that way. So all in all, yeah, yes, it is very simple. It is very quick, as I mentioned. That's definitely a plus. Some really interesting sounds. You don't need a lot of knowledge. On the other hand, you don't have a lot of control, and it is very limited. So there you go. So that's what I think about Simple Concept. Go check it out for yourself if you like. And if you do, let me know what you think about it. Leave a comment below. For now, I'm going to thank you for watching. So thank you for watching. And I'm going to talk to you in the next video.